Hey guys, welcome to Candid Conversations with Shootguru. And today we have a very special guest. We have seen his landscape photographs that have always awed us, and we have always seen him in action on the street in different locations around the world. He has been in the industry for over a decade and is known for his landscape photography. Today we have Jassi Oberoi with us. Welcome to the Candid Conversations, Jassi sir.
Thank you, Shade. It's really a pleasure being here.
So, sir, I have known you for a few years, and I have seen you, as a photographer, as a mentor, and we have always loved what you click, and especially those northern lights, the stuff that you've done in Norway, and those snow peak Kashmir, and everything that I've seen has always, made me think that there is some kind of, strength and skill that goes behind those images. So, sir, how did you get into photography? Was this your go-to option, or were you doing something else and then you came here?
Photography, I think I always say that it was an accident for me because why I say that? Because I've grown up in a family where my father was a hobbyist photographer, serious hobbyist. He was not doing commercially because he was into government job, and his younger brother, my uncle, he was also a hobbyist and later turned into commercial and also. But my understanding, my foray into photography, my brush with photography in those days ended there itself, because the day digitalization happened in photography, my father decided to move away from photography and started writing, and that was his another hobby. And that was the last day I can even remember that I had any brush with photography. And I was rising the corporate ladder and no hint of photography at all. And one day in one of my corporate excursions, I happened to bump into somebody unknown in his early 30s, and I don't even remember his name. And just few silly questions, chance conversation, asking him about what does he do and what camera is he using, why the lens is wide, and all those silly questions. And those 5 to 10 minute conversation, I don't know what happened, it ignited that somewhere within me, that passion which was almost dead. And I came back and bought my first DSLR. So if I say that I was passionate about photography, no, I was not. But yes, the day I bought my first camera, that is when I realized what I wanted to do. I mean, why I say that? Because in India, particularly in a middle class family, the only few options, career options, are either you become a doctor, or you become an engineer, or you become a chartered accountant. You don't have fourth option available, at least not in my time when I was growing up. So photography was never in the back of my mind. And then I realized that this is what I wanted to do. So instead of moving around in circles, that is how photography happened to me.
Lovely. So, sir, I've also been through a process. I'm an MBA marketing, moved to photography, and again, similar thing. It was never something that I wanted to do, but it was always a hobby and converted into a passion and lifestyle. I tasted everything. I went for product, I did documentaries, I did film, and I did fashion shoots. I've done street. So have you also tasted a lot more? And what was your inspiration that got you to landscape photography as a genre?
Yeah, it's very interesting because I didn't have time when I bought my first camera in terms of age. So they say that age is just a number. I totally agree there. But then there's a challenge that I was facing, that if I have to leave a job, which I eventually left, I have to think of something where I can commercialize my photography and I can make some money out of it and make a living out of it. My first love was nature, travel in nature. But I immediately realized that that is not going to fetch me money, at least on immediate basis. Might on long term might be, but not immediately. That is when I got into event photography and wedding as well, and fashion as well. So event and wedding, I left almost immediately within first few months because nothing against it. I believe that they are the most creative people who shoot weddings. But for me, when I was trying to break away from the shackles of corporate life, I didn't want to get into another shackle of delivering to the clients and whims and fancies and strict timelines. I'm a very disciplined individual, but still, I wanted to be a free bird. And that is when I decided to get into, for commercial part, I wanted to get into fashion and beauty. And that is what I did quite a lot initially. And as time passed by and I got into wildlife as well, I went into product also, but product did not last even for a day or two, because for me, photography is interacting with nature or people. So something which is dead lying on the table and me handling lights and just creating that somehow just didn't work with me. So that is when I started venturing into landscape as well, because for me landscape was one thing which always gave me my peace of mind whenever I would get stressed up in my corporate life as well. So that is where I found my my soul, my peace, my inner satisfaction. And so that was my first time when I decided, and I think it was in 2000, late 2012, I first decided to shoot landscape. I mean, if you see that, even I call it a junk, but but that's how I started landscape.
Lovely. So on that, what do you feel the newcomers who are entering the industry, how important is it for them to taste everything, they taste all genres of?
I think it is very important, and that is where I always say that the current generation, where they lack is they just focus on one thing and they do not look beyond. I mean, it's always good at times to stay focused. You need to have the blinders on, but then putting the blinders on also has its own disadvantage, because you don't even see what's coming, what's around. You stay focused, and after some time, when you get into your creative rut, which everybody gets into, then you don't know what to do, because you've not seen anything beyond that. And I remember interacting with one famous from Europe, from Italy, one famous commercial fashion and conceptual portrait photographer. And when I interacted with him, it was in 2013, and I was organizing a workshop with him in India. And I just asked him a similar kind of a question. And he said that he could grow mainly because he shoots street as well and travel as well. That helps him understand emotions better, expressions better, and that he translates into his commercial and portrait photography, let's say fashion also. He always gets an edge over others who do not do that. And there's one example, I mean, it's right there in front of us, Steve McCurry.
Yeah.
Everybody who knows Steve McCurry knows him as a street and documentary photographer. But you'll be surprised to know that he has shot Pirelli calendar.
Wow.
I mean, he shoots fashion as well, fine art as well. You don't see that work because that goes commissioned work, and that goes there. But interacting with people like them, you get to know that it's very important that you diversify, at least in your personal photography journey.
Lovely. So that's great advice, sir. And like talking about travel and landscape that you talked about, I believe you do a lot of expeditions, and you've done a lot of expeditions of which we see these amazing images that have come out. So how this expedition concept started? I mean, what was that got you into doing these expeditions? Because it is not easy. I mean, when I even think about taking an expedition somewhere, just managing that group of people, I feel is a pain, because it's a pain enough that you manage your own travel, but when you have to manage a group, and we're not into travel operators, or we're not into travel as such. So what really inspired you to start expeditions?
Interesting question, and I think something very close to my heart as well. And Should I tell the truth?
Yes, please.
Because actually it was never in my agenda, to be honest. But somehow things, when you start when you start translating your passion into business aspect, it's a whole different ball game. And then you realize that at times your passion has to take a back seat and commerce part of it has to take precedence over it. And I somehow initially was not enjoying that process, because there was some reason that I left corporate sector. And even though I am starting my own company to do weddings or fashion shoots and all, to get work from outside, I was getting stuck. There was no creativity left, there was no motivation left, because now again you are running after money. Not that it is wrong, because you have to earn a living, but that is the time when I thought that I was thinking, what can be one way where I enjoy my photography as a journey, as a process, and even make money. And that is when I came out with the idea of photography tours and expeditions. And it almost started immediately. So 2010 is when I left my job. 2010 early I left my job, and 2012 is when I started my photography tours business, and almost immediately, you can say. And I really loved it, because now, as people say to me that you are really living your passion. Yes, because I was making money also, and I was not leaving my creative pursuit in shooting. So to an extent that I did not restrict it only to landscape photography. I've taken photography expeditions. No, expedition is not the right word right there, but photography tours, so to say, to places, Thailand and Russia, just to teach them fine art, fashion photography, and even glamour photography and fine art nude in terms of that. And we did all that in structuring them as a part of travel and fine art fashion photography.
Lovely.
So kind of putting them together so that there is no end to my creative pursuit.
Lovely. So, sir, any memorable tour or anything that you remember that you feel is worth sharing as an experience?
See, there are many, but the moment you say this, I remember one of the very recent tours that I did. That was my last tour before when COVID hit us, to Iceland and Norway. And I was to lead a tour, because see, there could be some memories with a particular tour where I faced challenges with the weather. There could be some where I faced challenges with the authorities of that particular place, that they would not let you shoot. There could be many other reasons. There could be personal challenges as well. But this particular tour was emotionally draining also for me. Before this 2018 tour to Iceland, I had already been to Iceland 3 times. Wow. And so Iceland was at the back of my hand. So you be Iceland, you're at a second home. And I was to take the tour. Just 4 days before that, I lost my mother. So I was in a fix. How do I handle this situation? So anyway, so I was looking for some mentors who could at least replace me for first week, so that I can at least finish my responsibilities here, and then I go to Iceland. But I couldn't find, because there were multiple factors that had to fall in line. Somebody being a mentor, having a Schengen visa, active, should be free to lead, and should be agreeing to lead. But I couldn't find. Finally, with the support of my family, I decided to continue with the tour, because there was a responsibility of the people who had invested money. That is where the challenge started, because I was not there mentally. So land in Iceland, and on the worst side of it, the weather was not very positive. So it was continuously raining, which was very un-Icelandic weather. You don't get continuous rains there. You get rains, but in a day the weather changes colors at least 10 to 15 times. And for 1 week the weather was very hostile, very grey, no texture in the clouds. It's just raining. And my mood was also not positive. I was walking like a zombie, not able to lead my group of participants who had invested money. They were supportive because they knew at least I had come. But it was a huge challenge for me. And every day I was trying to kind of convince myself that I had to come out of that. And after almost around a week being there, which is half the tour, 50% of the tour gone, I somehow managed to come out of that, break out of that mold that I was in. And I said, no, it cannot continue like this. And then I shot my first image of the tour. And that has won an award also.
Wow.
So it is very special because I had to overcome personal challenges. I had to overcome my loss, which was tragic loss, personal loss, and still lead a group, battle the weather elements which were not working towards our favor, and end the tour on a high note where every participant is happy, and which I eventually managed to do.
Wow, so that is actually very, very inspiring. I don't know how I would react to something like that, because loss of a dear one, especially a parent, is very, very heartbreaking. Yet even if it is because of natural causes or anything, still you coming out of something like that is very, very hard. So, sir, I hope this story actually inspires the people who are listening to it. And each one of us faces a lot of personal issues, be it money, be it relationships, be it the time of the of the year we're in, or the place we're in our mental health also. And I believe that such inspirational stories should help you. For that, thank you for sharing that. So my next question, is something is about your style, how you are creating such beautiful images. So how do you actually approach when you are taking a landscape or a portrait? So what is your strategy to approach such shots?
See, landscape is a difficult genre. Many people would not agree with that. And let me explain the process, because there are many challenges that we face as a landscape photographer. And my approach is totally different. I'm not saying that different from everybody out there, but most landscapes that I have come across, my approach is that I want to imbibe myself in the scene. I see the surroundings, I become aware of where I am, and then approach the scene. I am not hurrying into a shot. I'm not concerned, I'm not bothered, I do not push too much of pressure on myself that how many images do I want from this place. I'm perfectly alright if I don't come back even with a single image. I'm perfectly alright with that. Because for me, it's a process. Landscape photography in particular is an experience that you have to live. And once you understand that, once you become one with the surrounding, once you let the scene imbibe in you and you be a part of that, compositions start happening. Then you start seeing something which otherwise is not visible. So my approach is, go there, do not take the camera out, or maybe keep the camera hanging on your neck or shoulder, or just keep holding in your hand with it being switched off if you want to have the touch of the camera sometimes, because in different times I had different kind of emotions. Sometimes I could do without picking up the camera, sometimes I needed the camera, needed to touch the camera, at least hold the camera. But I would not even switch it on. I would just observe, I would walk around. It's kind of a meditation for me that time. And then things start happening. So, and then I start creating compositions.
Lovely, sir. And what are the kind of challenges that you would face as a landscape or no, and a fashion photographer for that matter? Because these two genres, I feel, travel, landscape, and fashion are something that people look up to also. So when we get inspired by images online, on Instagram, Facebook, anywhere we look at them, but people really don't understand the challenges that people like photographers face on such projects. So what are the kind of challenges that you feel people might expect to face, or you have faced, and how you have actually come out of that?
The challenges are very different when we talk about landscape photography and when we talk about fashion photography. Let me start with the landscape photography because the challenges are totally insane at times, and you just can't do anything about them. At least some challenges. For example, light is not in your control. And fashion, you still can control light. If you don't have enough, you can order more. I mean, I can't order a second sun.
True that.
So, weather, light is something just beyond our control. No matter how much research we do, you reach there and it's just not there. And you go there with the expectation of shooting sunrise, and you don't even see. Forget rise. You don't even see sun. It's all cloudy. It's all raining at times. If you go to extremes, so things are not in your control. That is one challenge. How do I handle this? I think I've learned to be flexible.
Okay.
I think every landscape photographer has to be flexible. Expectations are right, but then don't make them become a burden. So if I'm not getting a sunrise light, I would instead shoot something which is moody, and I should be mentally prepared for it. Not that I psych myself to do that, but you have to go as per what you get when you reach that spot. So this is something which is not in our control. So there is no point fretting over it. There's no point getting tensed over it or getting anxious over it. And you just go with the flow. Whatever is there, you just come out with something. Even if you don't come out with it, just experience and be happy. That is one biggest challenge. Second challenge is how to be unique in your shots. Now, for example, let's say we go to Taj Mahal. So Taj Mahal is not a landscape photography, but let's say travel photography. But I'm giving that example in landscape because most of the readers, most of the listeners of this podcast, if they are from India, they would relate to this. So you go to Taj Mahal, the first shot that you want to shoot is that cliched shot of Taj Mahal centered composition and calendar kind of a shot. Whereas I believe that is not my shot. I have just replicated somebody else's shot which was shot some few years back. There's no creativity. It's not my unique shot. How do I come out with a unique shot? And most of the places, even in Iceland, you go to, the places have been shot to death. Ladakh, you go, they have been shot to death. Pangong. So the first thing is that I need to get rid of the bug that is in my subconscious mind, which is forcing me to click that kind of composition. So first thing I do, whatever is in my mind, which is forcing me to see in a particular composition, I will pick the camera up and shoot. Now there's a pressure on my subconscious because it is no more showing me that motivated, influenced frames. Now I have to find my own composition, and this is the most challenging part. And the images that I have created out of, in Taj Mahal recently during COVID, in Ladakh, Pangong, very difficult to find a unique composition of Pangong Lake. But that is the challenge that I take, and I've always tried to create unique composition. When you go to Iceland, the locations are very popular. Internationally, best of the photographers have shot them.
Okay.
And coming out with a unique shot is a challenge that I take upon myself. My approach is first click that common shot, get rid of that thought from your mind. Now think about perspective, either through composition, sometimes even that dries down after some time, then through combination of composition and post-processing, taking it to fine art level, maybe creating black and whites, working on use of lights and shadows to make a same composition look very different, creating depth out of it, using long exposure. So sometimes you get stuck, and then my only thought at that point is that what is that the scene is conveying to me. The mood, maybe the first word that comes to my mind, the first word that I get, I want to replicate that. So my long exposure journey also started with that. So I wanted to make it surreal, so I started using long exposure. So these are the things that help me break this particular challenge.
Now I'm kind of imagining you in those challenges, and being a filmmaker myself, I totally agree that we go to places and we get stuck with what we've already seen.
Yeah.
And we end up replicating it, and we come back and we're like, oh, we did it, and then we realize, okay, there's nothing new in it, or there's nothing different in it.
Yeah.
And listening to you, how you actually handle that perspective challenge or handle that composition challenge is beautiful.
Yeah. And the third challenge that I face is, how to get out of the mental mold of shooting something totally different that you are not prepared for, which happens quite a lot in landscape photography, because when you are preparing for the shoot, you have to go and travel to a different place and go to the location tomorrow or maybe in few days time. You're living that shot, sunrise shoot. You're visualizing it to be bright, sunny, beautiful, and you go there, you don't find that.
So basically, if I can imagine, we are dependent on nature, which is unpredictable. And I have also felt it that we plan a shoot in a particular way, but we end up not getting what we wanted. So yeah, how do you एक तो हो गया कि mentally coming out of it, but how do you prep for it? You can't carry your equipment everywhere. You can't carry everything everywhere. So how do you do that also? Please do cover that as well.
Yeah. So if you're traveling to far off places, then you have to be prepared with whatever camera equipment that you can carry, which can cater to different types of shoots. So sticking again to landscape, it's easy because I have learned now how to shoot with minimal equipment. I don't really carry much, so that is where not much challenge. The challenge is that how do I start thinking in a moody weather, and that is where at times I have been successful, at times I have not been successful. And that is what is, I believe, which is the beauty of landscape photography. If things are not certain, your final shot outcome is also not certain.
True.
So I always say, as I said initially also, that enjoy the process. It is important to enjoy the process. If you go there with the expectation, with a decision in your mind that I'm going there, I have to come back with 10 images or 5 images or even 2 images, then you're going to struggle.
Yeah.
Then your expectations will actually spoil your mood, which will not help you enjoy the entire process of landscape photography. For me, it is more of the process, the meditation, trying to become one with the nature, which is important. If I'm not successful in switching my gear from sunshine thought process to moody, I will come sometime again. Maybe that day it's not good, but I'll still enjoy the nature the way it is.
Lovely. And so what about fashion? You've done fashion as well. You must have faced a lot of issues when doing fashion, especially outdoors. So
yeah, fashion has a different challenge. In terms of, again, being unique is the biggest challenge, because when you are preparing for fashion, at least that was with me, because that is not my go-to genre. So my go-to genre is landscape. You can throw me out in any location blindfolded with some gear, and even if it is not sufficient, I'll come out with something. That unfortunately is not there with fashion. It doesn't come so much easily to me in my thought process. So My biggest challenges that I've been facing with fashion is how to still stay unique, because when you are doing research with the concept, trying to even find a concept and trying to make a storyboarding with that concept and trying to finally translate into reality in terms of images, chances are very high that the images will turn out to be a copy of the images that you were looking at, trying to think of a concept.
Yeah, on that, I had another question, and you've really, kind of hit the nail right now. So my next question is something very much pertaining to what you're just talking about. We often, mix creativity with commercial aspects, and the creativity goes down because we're looking out for money. And how do you balance that? How do you balance creativity and the commercial aspects of what work we're doing?
I think it's very challenging also at times, and I mentioned that my one reason of getting into landscape photography was that I was losing out on the creative aspect of photography, because the moment you talk about commercial part, it is doing photography for a client as per his needs, as per his creative thoughts. You might not agree with that, but that's the reality. You will still have to stick to that as much as possible, because the client otherwise will not be satisfied, will not pay you as you want it.
Yeah, that is why we look for client approvals.
Yeah, that's why we look for client approvals. Balancing, I managed to do, because fortunately for me, at least as per my understanding till now, is that landscape photography does not come into the purview of commercial photography. I might be able to sell the images, but they will be my creativity, which somebody will relate to and will buy. But when I come to, let's say, fashion photography, the challenges are there, because client, you will have to deliver to client needs. That is number one. Number two is that sometimes you do not even agree. So that is where what I do usually is that that he is wrong, that it's not going to work, but you still have to agree, because client is the king. So you shoot, on two different concepts as far as possible. It's not always possible. So sometimes what I do is I shoot for the client's requirements, but I know that he is going to probably crib. So I will have something ready which I would want to show him if the need comes. And that is where I apply my own creativity. And then when the client somehow looks at it, and though he's given the approval and he's not very happy, he's not looking very happy, but he can't say anything, then I say that, should I show you something else? Then he would say yes, and mostly he agrees. So that is where I keep my creativity also intact, because I invest time while shooting into at least shooting one or two images which is as per my creative thought process, not as per client. It will not be delivered immediately, but it will remain with me. But that will, more importantly, even if I don't even show him, more importantly, it will be for my own creative pursuit. But if it is not possible, entirely it's not possible, time constraints, there's money involved, doing something totally different, then it's a challenge. Then you don't even look at creating a balance. Then you, after the shoot, after doing all these shoots, you find your own time to go out and shoot for yourself. That is where, coming back to the one question that you asked initially, that how important it is for a photographer to shoot multiple genres. This is where, and this is how you balance your creativity with commercial requirements and demands.
Nice. So thank you so much for sharing those insights, and I hope a lot of our viewers will also be, wanting to follow something like that, and I hope they do. Now, one question that I have an itch of asking every creator in today's world is that even though cameras with DSLRs, mirrorless cameras have evolved and they're giving the best of qualities, there are companies like Lumix who are making Netflix-approved cameras. Sony is coming out with, low-light efficient cameras and cinema range of cameras, and making cinema cameras affordable for the end user. At the same time, we have smartphones which are doing brilliant video, which are doing brilliant photography. What is your take on it? Will smartphones replace mainstream cameras, and or will they assist photographers to do better content?
I it's a very interesting question. I think there are two aspects to it, and they lie in your question only. Will they assist? They already are doing that. I mean, we can't say that will they assist or they will assist in future. They are already assisting because content professional photographers, when they turn into creating content while on the fly, they resort to their mobile phones, even if they are hardcore DSLR or mirrorless users, as per their requirement and need. So mobile phones are already assisting. Will they replace? I mean, I really honestly fear that they might. That is where I believe that all these camera brands, they have been very slow in understanding the need of computational means to be integrated into the camera. Mobile phones have been doing that from quite a long time.
Yeah.
Even with a small sensor, they show as if there is no noise.
Exactly. Yeah.
You can shoot long exposure as well, low light as well. There are some mobile phones. It's been path breaking.
Yeah.
They are already a threat, at least to the entry level cameras, and that's why we see that there was an individual who messaged me a few days back. Are the entry level cameras do not exist now? I said no, because there was a time when you could get a camera, DSLR, a good DSLR, for as low as 60,000 rupees.
So even lower than that, 35,000, 40,000.
Now the starting is 1 lakh plus.
Yeah.
So it has already impacted the industry. Times to come, it is only going to become stronger. So AI is making them even stronger today. So yes, challenges are there, and I fear that day. And I say I fear because I am traditionally in favor of a proper camera.
Yeah.
But why I fear? Because the quality that they are dishing out is insane. The ease of use is for all of us to see. I mean, if I have to create a vlog, it is cumbersome to hold a heavy camera in front of your face and just holding a mobile phone, and which is super steady. Image stabilization, just we don't talk about. They are already stable. So yes, we have seen death of point and shoots because of mobile phones. We've already seen that. It was an overnight death.
Definitely.
Overnight. Today it is selling. Tomorrow they decide to close down the business. I don't know what's going to happen. Because when we talk about 4K, for example, a photographer using cameras is still on full HDs.
Yeah.
And the same person shoots 4K on his mobile phone. Somebody might argue that they are not true 4Ks. So be it. The many cameras who do not still there are many cameras who do not shoot true 4Ks. I mean, it's insane. So yes, it's going to disrupt this industry, and I hope it is.
I think it already is doing it.
It's already doing it.
But for commercial photographers,
yes, that is where. So probably AI they're going to be more adaptive in nature. They already are. They've been adapting to changes in technology faster than traditional camera manufacturers have been doing. I hope everybody catches up in terms of camera manufacturers and they up their scale. Just think beyond megapixel. Unfortunately, they're still thinking about megapixel. True. It is so unfortunate. I mean, we don't need that. You can do a lot of other stuff. You can come out with a lot of other features and think a step ahead of what mobile phone manufacturers are thinking.
Very true.
It's important. Otherwise, what you just said might become real.
Very true. Very good. So, okay, what are the kind of tips that you would give to young viewers who are watching this show right now, and how should they develop their skills to kind of enter the industry and even grow in it?
I think it's a very interesting question, because I think the answer lies in your question only, that what to do to develop skills. When you are trying to develop skills, it takes time.
That's true.
Current generation, not only in photography, is a 2-minute noodle generation. Instant gratification. They want success as of yesterday.
True.
They buy cameras thinking that buying this camera will help them gain success faster.
And money. I mean,
And
like,
money.
Like for example, I get calls. Okay, I want to do a filmmaking course. What kind of money will I start earning after that? And my answer to them is zero. Because if you don't practice, you don't develop a portfolio, I can't help you there.
Yeah. So it takes time. The Instagram generation, if you're trying to become, if your success measurement of your success is how many likes on Instagram, then actually you can continue living on noodles.
Yeah.
The moment you talk about biryanis, it will take time.
Yeah.
The moment you talk about creating something which is as recognizable and memorable as Taj Mahal or Qutub Minar, it will take time. Be patient. Even a baby takes 9 months to shape up and become what he or he looks like. At least give that much of time. It's a riyaz. As I always say that, that it's a riyaz, that a singer, for an audience, it is 1 minute performance on the stage or on a studio when somebody records a song, and the perception is that is what he spent time on to deliver that. No. It's months and years of riyaz.
Of course.
Going out, practicing without the pressure of creating result at that moment of time. How many of us go out with a camera with an aim not to come out with a single image, just to practice, create wrong images, create bad images, create something which is horrendous, because that is where you will learn that this is not possible to do. You will not get anything out of it. So the only thing that I would say to a newcomer trying to establish himself in a photography field, that do riyaz, give time, show patience, because there is always someone out there who will perform better than you just because he's giving that time to his skill development.
Very true.
And be adaptive. And I think that's it. And try to be creative. The influencers or the content creators, there's nothing wrong with those kinds of words. But problem that we see is, and I posted one reel recently that I saw people posting images from Holi, Barsana and Nandgaon. And that is where the problem lies. That is where you can nail the problem. The images that people were sharing, the reels that they were creating, the post-processing that people were doing on them, they were looking awesome. The problem is, looking at those reels, looking at those images, I could not be able to identify who has done that.
Because everybody is doing the same thing.
Everybody is doing the same thing.
I agree.
Nobody is trying to be creative. Everybody is using the same music, same beats, same oversaturated red color. It becomes, it was, I mean, where is your creativity?
I agree. Even if you look at Kumbh images, if you look at
Where
people
is
going
your
to
creativity?
Barsana or people going to Varanasi to do images, you get the same angle, same shots, same everything.
Yeah. So that will always come when you do riyaz. You give time. Then you think creatively. No, this is not what I want to do. I will create something totally different. Maybe I will move away from what is popular.
And this is what you said a little while ago in this session only, that you click what everybody else has clicked, but then you start thinking beyond that.
Yeah, you do that. You get rid of that pressure on you, but then you do something totally different.
Yeah, very true.
Because And that you can create only if your skill levels are high.
Perfect.
You've given time. You have matured yourself into being a photographer. You justify that word photographer to your own self. I mean, why did I become a photographer? Why did I want to pick up the camera? Is it because I wanted to create something like Shootguru is doing? Or I wanted to be known as what Jassi is doing? I mean, I want to show images that somebody looking at my images say that this is created by Jassi. And you get a kick out of it.
Very true.
That is your achievement. And it takes time.
It takes time. Very
It
true.
takes time.
Perfect. And sir, what do you think, what is the future of Exploring Light and where are you taking this ahead? What new can we see in future?
A question that is being asked at a time when I think this industry, particularly what we deal in, is going through one of the toughest challenges right now. People say that travel has started. Why has it not started for you? And I always say that it's not an excuse, but for me, travel has started for families. Leisure travel has started. People are doing revenge travel. They're traveling with families because families together did not travel for long.
Very true.
Hobby travel is the next step. So we are going through challenges, but yes, Exploring Light is here. It will remain here and it will grow further. We are also evolving with time. We always used to do photography expeditions which were 10 to 12 days long at least. Now we are trying to structure as per the need of the customer and trying to deliver quality, trying to create events and tours which are of 3 to 4 days duration. The challenge is that our thought process is not aligned, but we are working towards that. You will see a lot of relevant content, much more relevant content being delivered. We will get into video tutorials as well, which will become an online feature that if you cannot travel with us for workshops, let's say, we want to create content for you where you can buy those short-term courses kind of thing and learn on the go.
Lovely.
So we are evolving. The work is already on, but yes, Exploring Light will keep on exploring light.
Beautiful, sir. Thank you so much for giving us time today, and I hope all our audiences, everybody here has taken some insights from your experiences. I know I have, and the sort of thought processes have changed in my head because now that I'm getting into documentary filmmaking and I'm getting into fiction filmmaking, so I have got a lot of insights from you. Thank you so much for doing that. So a message for the new generation of filmmakers and photographers, what would you want to say to them?
So you have picked up the camera. Find your calling. Find reasons why you decided to get into photography and justify that word photography for your own self. Others will see. वो जो खुशबू है ना बिरयानी की, वो जो महक है ना, वो दूर तक जाएगी अगर आप उसको बनाने में इतना टाइम दोगे. Be a good chef. Work on a recipe. Pre-visualize your scene and add your ingredients accordingly. Don't get into instant gratification. Don't get into 2-minute cooking. It lacks aroma. आपकी खुशबू दूर तक जानी चाहिए. And believe me, I always say it's not self-pity. A person like me, if I can do it, each one of you can do much better than me. All the best.
Thank you, Jassi sir. I hope this inspires a lot of the youth or a lot of newcomers in the industry, and I believe that we want to see a lot more of your images coming up and you on expeditions. Please give us more behind the scenes of what you do, because that really teaches us of how to get into it and how to evolve in the process as well. So thank you guys for joining in for Candid Conversations. We will keep bringing more and more industry specialists for you. Until next time, ciao.